Thank you for tuning in to the Blazik podcast.
When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
God damn.
It's Blazik.
Give yourself credit for what you have done.
Accept who you are. I mean, that's something that's effortless.
Doesn't mean I can't start today.
Blazik, it's your time.
You know what I was thinking about when I was in the shower before this podcast? I'll give you one guess.
What you were thinking about?
Mm-hmm.
Shit, man, I don't know. Topics to cover?
No. I was thinking how happy I was that I never peed the bed at a friend's house when I was growing up.
Damn.
but it also made me think that you...
I guess I've never taken a moment to be thankful for that, so.
Yeah, I don't even know. I don't even know why it popped in my head. But...
Hey, man, sometimes you gotta find reasons to be grateful, you know?
I've
never done that either.
It led to another thought, and I thought maybe we could share stories of staying the night at friend's house, and then when shit goes wrong.
Yeah.
So I'll kick it off here.
All right, yeah. All right, yeah, sure.
So when I was probably like second grade, I went and stayed at a buddy's house we won't name him. And I remember his mom had just had a baby, and she was breast pumping, or like whatever that's called. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Breast pumping?
Yeah, sure, yeah, I think so. But we understand though. We understand.
So she was doing that, and I just remember being like real thrown off by that because I'd never seen that before. And then I remember the next morning, she served us cereal, and I was convinced that milk was straight from her boob, and I had to make up a story about why I can't eat cereal.
You were just like, I don't do cereal. Well, Blazik, what about some Cinnamon Toast Crunch instead? I just don't do cereal at all.
No, nothing. No dairy.
Damn, dude, that's pretty intense. How old were you?
Probably like second grade. And dude, it actually carried with me for a couple years, going to friends' house whenever like milk would get involved.
Yeah, man, that's... You know, when you're trying to piece together reality and you see something like that, I mean, the narrative in your head goes straight to like, that's what this milk is. So I don't know, man. That's how long. Like, do you remember like the time in your life where you pieced it together to where you're like, oh my God, I was so wrong about that?
Man, I think I just gradually started building trust that cereal milk came from cows and
Cow milk, yeah.
Maybe.
Now you love cow milk, dude.
Dude, I don't understand the controversy.
It's not controversy. It's cow milk. You can put cow milk in cereal, but like to just drink cow milk is like a very childish thing to do. That's my take. Like,
how far do you go with it though? Can you eat food with it? Like, would you do Oreos and cow milk?
Dude, that's like 12-year-old shit. Like, you could, but we're still in this framework of like, dude, that's what a child does. Like, you literally just, I said cow milk is for children, and you're like, what about Oreos and cow milk? Like, bro, same umbrella of stuff you do as a kid that you stop doing when you're in your 20s.
Dude, so would you have Oreos and almond milk?
Bro, I don't think having an Oreo is kind of childish. So, like, I don't really do too many Oreos, but, like, to want the milk with it, like, you're going full kid mode. Like, you can't make this an adult conversation. This is like, dude, when you want to feel like a kid, what do you eat? Like, that's what this conversation should be. But, okay, if I was going to do Oreos and I was like, I need something to put this inside of, I would probably do cow milk. I wouldn't do almond milk.
Take us to Tuesday night in Tyler Keenan's world when you're feeling a little frisky. Since Oreos are for kids, what are we doing?
For like a comfort food?
Yeah, man.
Or just anything in general.
You pop the Netflix on.
Netflix is on. Dude, I mean, I'm an adult, okay? If I want to treat, like, I might do some type of yogurt concoction. Like, I'll take some Greek yogurt, maybe put some fruit in there, depending on how I'm feeling. Maybe if I'm trying to make gains, I'll put a scoop of whey in there, spin it up, just make something that's kind of sweet, but also, like, relatively healthy. It's not like I'm dipping an Oreo in milk, but, I try to stay in a lane of adult food.
Dude, you have lost touch with the Midwest. You moved out west. Seattle got a hold of you. Now it's
maybe, but dude,
same with Joe, dude. Same with Joe.
I just don't go to the grocery store and think about buying
Ever.
cookies.
Oh.
I do go to the grocery store, but I don't walk around. I'm like, I need cookies. Like, that's just the way I am. But
Dude,
to answer your question,
no one goes to the grocery store needing cookies. It's something you see.
right? I don't know, man. I mean, I get cow milk has its uses, but if I were to buy a gallon or half a gallon, I wouldn't. It would expire before I used it. Like, maybe I put some in my coffee. If I didn't have cream, like, I'll do half and half in my coffee, if it's like my third coffee of the day or something, just to change it up. But I don't find a ton of utility in cow milk. I think
talk about it like it's this foreign substance, like cow milk. It's not even milk. You have like this whole new word for it.
Because I like to make sure that it's funny because it's ridiculous. Like, it is made for cows. And the food industry told us it was good for our bones and calcium and stuff, but really it's not really that good for you. Like,
so you think that my friend's mom was actually trying to do me a favor?
By scaring you away from milk?
No, by giving me human milk.
That's a good question, man. I don't know much about that. I'm pretty disconnected from breast milk.
Actually, bodybuilders buy breast milk.
What?
Swear, let's Google it. Let's see how much it goes for. How much for human
what?
breast milk for bodybuilders? I'm serious, dude.
Why would they do that?
It goes for $1.50 an ounce. So, what would you say an average glass of milk is? How many ounces?
Dude, I'm out of touch with the cow milk market.
Let's go.
And if I were to buy,
this isn't cow milk. This is breast milk.
I know, but you were asking about the comparison to cow milk. Almond milk's kind of expensive because almond milk takes a lot of water to make.
Dude,
is that what's in there?
It takes a lot of almonds too, right?
Yeah, it's like very resource heavy. Like, sometimes people will go to almond milk to get away from cow milk because of the dairy industry. But dude, I'm out of my depth here on this milk conversation. I should have done some research. You get it next time. Let me know. Like, hey, dude, we're gonna cover the milk thing.
My bad.
But yeah, the almond milk, based on what I understand, it's like so hard to make almonds.
Dude, and because they soak up like so much water, right?
Yeah, so you have to use a ton of water.
That it's the driest fucking fruit out there, or not fruit, driest fucking thing out there.
Yeah, dude, have you ever, like, there's some almonds in the kitchen right now, but I avoid them because then I can't talk. Like, you get the almond coughs, Well, I lose my voice the other way. My voice feels great today. But almond coughs are the worst when you're trying to talk to somebody after having a handful of almonds.
Dude, there's no real benefit from having a handful of almonds. Then your breath
they're kind of filling though. Like, it's a nice way to get a filling snack, I would say.
Dude, almond breath is like retirement home breath.
I haven't made that connection.
How many retirement homes have you been in?
2. I think that's accurate.
That was a perfect.
I think it's 2.
And you only went in them one time each? Dude, I'm telling you, you don't have to think too hard about it, man. It's okay. I could see the wheels really spinning there.
Well, no, I was really like trying to picture how many I'd been in. You know, it's like that's not a question that it's stored in an easy to access file in your brain, right? You kind of have to like go through some mental imagery.
Dude,
to remember.
I feel like those questions are always asked in group settings when they're like, so tell us something, and then they say something hard and you're already nervous, and then you got to you got to untap. What's your go-to when you have to tell someone something unique about yourself?
Dude, what's nice is I have two that are always interesting, so I don't have to think about it. Because even like when I joined my newest job, you know, we had a new hire thing where we did that. And mine are simple. The first is when I won that Ford Mustang in the drawing, the radio contest. so it's like, that's ridiculous. So I just say that, like, that's like a fun fact. Or if I do 2 truths and a lie, I'll include that one.
Oh, see, that's a challenging one. 2 truths and a lie. You got to come up with 3.
Yeah.
What's your other one?
So the winning a car in a lottery, you know, that's pretty fun fact. And then the other one I use is when I first moved to Seattle and I did the ghostwriting for men's online dating profiles. People are fascinated when I say that, you know, because I did that for 6 months where I paid my main source of income was ghostwriting other men's online dating profiles. So I would like write their profile, I would do their messaging, I would set up their dates, and you know, I made enough to live in a house with 5 people, but still, you know, that's how I made my money. And people are, whether you're a man or a woman, that's interesting to you.
How did you even find that job?
Dude, I just wanted to be.
That's some Craigslist shit.
Oh yeah, it was Craigslist, man. Like I was on there looking for any type of paying work, and I was working for this online company where I was writing 5 articles a week, so 1 article every day, and they paid me like $320 every 2 weeks.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so every day I'd go write an article for them. And then every 2 weeks, they give me like $320 through PayPal. So then when you take taxes out of that, it's like I made nothing, you know. But so I needed to add some income to that. And I'd always kind of like, I guess in college, I didn't use the apps. The apps didn't really catch on until.
Yeah, that was later.
2014, maybe 2013. So I had been on dating apps for a little while, and I always enjoyed writing, obviously. And then I saw this ad that was like, are you charismatic? And I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was very corny. And then it was like, it kind of detailed what they were looking for. And it was this internet company. And essentially they needed writers. They were basically sourcing clients. And then, you know, so essentially like by working with them, they provided me clients that I would write for. Mm-hmm. Right. So there was kind of an interview process with them where it was pretty funny. Like after I applied, they sent me an email. And they said, you have 60 minutes to fill this out and respond to us. And it was basically a bunch of fake conversations. And like, I had to respond to the fake conversations. And then I had to write like a fake profile for this person. Like they gave me a fictional person and they're like, what would you say for this person's profile? And so they sent it to me right away. And they said, you have 60 minutes to return to it, just to make sure like you can do it quickly and you know, like how to handle it. And so I sent that back and they hired me, and I probably had 8 to 9 clients at a time. Where
what did that pay?
It was hourly, so it was like, gosh, what was it? I think it broke down to $14 an hour plus commission. So
and you had like a set schedule?
No, it was 7 days a week, basically whenever I felt like working. So it was like I would clock in, do a bunch of work. And then I got paid commission based on how many dates I set up. So if I set up, you know, or phone numbers too. If I took it from the app to a phone number, then I got commission too.
Oh, dude, that's easy money.
Yeah.
Dude.
So yeah, that was that. So that's my other fun fact, because that's strange.
That's hilarious. Mine is I know the guy that has the patent recipe for Thousand Island dressing. He was my pen pal in high school, my senior year of high school.
Like literally your pen pal?
Yeah, like we had to have a pen pal in English class.
Yeah.
And they were in retirement homes. Mm-hmm. And then my guy sent me the patent recipe for it. And then I got to meet him in person. And dude, I walk into his room at the retirement home. First thing he does is take me to the fridge, opens it up, and he's just got custard cups, tons of them, of Thousand Island dressing. So the man is still obsessed with Thousand Island dressing. And
wow.
He asked me if I want to taste it. I'm like, sure. And he's like, you know, it's not the same anymore. They put lots of sugars and blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, okay, I'll try this. And so he gives me a custard cup, and then he hands me a spoon.
To just eat it?
Yeah.
Wow, what was it like?
Dude, I was first of all, I'll be honest with you. Retirement homes gross me out. So when I step in a retirement home, I'm not really trying to eat anything, especially anything liquidy or yeah. I'll eat one thing in a retirement home. Cake. They have great cake in a retirement home.
It sounds like you're a veteran of this. Have you been to a lot of retirement homes?
I would visit my grandpa a lot.
Like, got you. So I imagine he was there. Like, when you think about how old you were when you started going there, like, how old were you when you started going there?
16 through 19.
Nice. Okay, so 3 years.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good chunk.
Of cognitive years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, dude, I know that you don't eat liquid in a retirement home, but I did it, and it was okay.
Yeah. And then he's like standing there with you.
Oh, like stoked to
Like,
show me.
what are you gonna say? Yeah.
Yeah. So you just
That's pretty. Yeah, that's random. That's a fun fact.
thanks, man.
Yeah.
So let's talk dating apps since we were on dating apps.
Yeah, it's.
You finally went on a date, dude. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, I've taken a break.
Yeah.
I've taken a break.
Was that your choice or the women's choice?
I would say it's mine, but I would say being in Wichita, a lot of women here wouldn't like me, and vice versa. Just statistically, based on political preferences and
Denim attire.
yeah, maybe fashion, sense of fashion, or inclination to travel or see other parts of the country. Dude, I'm just being elitist, but no, I've been taking time away partly because it's just harder to. We talked about this a little bit in the last one, but yeah, I did go on one on Friday, and oh, is that Rocky?
Yeah, man.
What's he doing? He wants to go on a date, dude.
Dude, he's the chick magnet.
Yeah.
Dude, if you want to borrow Rocky for a photo shoot, I would let you.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I have some photos with Winnie, with Joe's dog.
Yeah,
but I'm wearing that KC Chiefs jersey and a bucket hat, so it's a bit much. But maybe I should add that to my profile.
No offense, Joe, but you need a real man dog. Joe's dog is the size of a baby, so.
According to her, Winnie is the size of a newborn.
A 35-pound newborn.
Yeah, man. No, I don't know that I mean, I don't think a dog helps. I know it does. I guess it helps
you're
with.
wrong.
It helps with the photos, maybe, but it doesn't help in life. You know, like.
Well, no, but the apps are so superficial, dude.
Yeah. Well, I already have a lot going against me, being like pale, ginger, losing my hair a little bit. Like, I'm not that fit. I'm like that kind of awkward phase where
You're medium level fit.
yeah. So it's like visually like if I add a puppy to the situation, it's probably not going to sway that many people. Like if someone's into me physically, they're probably going to be into me physically regardless. And if they're not, the dog's probably not going to make a difference.
I think you'd be surprised, but I don't
Maybe.
know. We can
All
run
right,
a test.
I'll add a photo with me and Winnie and
Okay.
see if I get any extra likes.
Okay.
And I'll let you know. But no, I went on a date. It was fine. It was good. It was just nice to meet someone. It's it's still weird with COVID, especially in Wichita. Like,
so when you meet him with COVID, do you hug him when you first meet him?
yeah.
Because, dude, to me, there's nothing more awkward than like meeting someone and not getting that like physical barrier out of the way immediately. Mm-hmm. Do you feel that? Like, then it's just, I feel like it goes off trail from there. Like,
yeah. I remember I went on one when COVID was like, you know how it was like super serious, then it like has gotten less serious, and now it's really serious again. Yeah. But it was when it was the first wave of everyone being really serious, and I did meet with someone, and I was already in the coffee shop. She came in, and I was kind of sitting in a booth, and it was still to the point where it was like kind of intense, where I was just like, I would hug you, but COVID. You know, I put it out there immediately why I wasn't gonna do that.
So did you wave at her?
Sure.
What'd you
yeah.
do?
Yeah, I waved, but we hugged at the end, right? It's just like, I don't know, man. What are you supposed to do? You know, it's like you need to be careful. We have to be careful. Like, it's
right.
We don't need more people to die. I mean, my grandpa has COVID.
Yeah.
He's in a assisted living home, and he still somehow got it. But at the same time, we have needs socially, and we have needs with physical touch as well. Like, that's an important part of mental health, and to relate to someone physically, I think, is important, even if it's a tiny moment like that. Like, that's cool. Yeah. And right now it's like extra vulnerable, right? Because you're kind of, it's risky and scary, but I don't know. It made sense in the moment. Mm-hmm. So,
dude, it's interesting how like on the physical touch thing, for me, like if I don't have it for a while, I kind of forget about it. But then like as soon like however long ago that was when I like hung out with that girl, like when I first got back into dating after COVID, or not after, but whatever. Yeah. And we like cuddled and watched TV. I was like, oh my gosh, like this is the best. This is so nice. Just another human in my space. Like,
it's biological, and I learned that lesson when I traveled, because I lived in that community. I lived in a community with like 30 people, and it was extremely physical. Like, it was a very trusting environment, and you could say it was like a cult in that way. Like, it was.
Listen, dude, this is a community of 30 people, and it was very physical.
Right, but it was a trusted physicality. It was the sexuality was there was just total trust between men and men, men and women, women and women. Very pure, very beautiful, and like constant hugging, constant holding hands, constant, laying on each other. Or
so would you do that with like the other guys, like hold hands or cuddle with them?
Yeah, like there are plenty of moments where I wouldn't say you. I mean, yeah, in a way, like you were free to express your masculine to the masculine in a way that like here would be strange, or it was just okay to show physical affection for like anyone in the group.
And how does this come out? Like, is this something that they tell you in like onboarding or orientation? Like,
well, it's obvious because when you walk in to this community, everyone hugs you. So everyone gives you a hug, and it's strange at first, and it's always strange. But every person that came in, they almost always say it was kind of weird when everyone was hugging me. But then a few days in, you realize it's fulfilling this need that you're talking about when you're cuddling and watching TV. But it's fulfilling it 100x. Like in the mornings, for example, we would observe noble silence. So from 6 a.m. to 11 a.m., there was no speaking at all.
Really? I didn't know you did that.
Yeah, so every morning you didn't talk. But what you could do is, the sun's rising and we're getting ready to do yoga and meditate, and you just go up and you just hug someone, right? And you just hug them for a minute. Like, you can do that, and it feels amazing. And it doesn't need to be sexualized. Like, the physical touch between men and women does not need to be sexualized like it is. it's sexualized because we don't do it platonically. We reserve it for, you know, romance and dating and sex, but we don't, like, and granted, it's a lot of my female friends from Seattle, we were in a work environment, and so that changes the nature of things. But like, if you think about your female friends, you should be able to have some type of physical relationship that isn't strange or sexual. Like, it doesn't always need to be that. You can engage physically without thinking about romance, right?
When you say it feels good, what do you mean by that? Like, physically it feels good or mentally?
Okay, you know that person that you were talking about with the TV? Rather than me try to explain this to you, the next time you see her, ask her if you can hug her for 12 seconds. Okay? And just give her a 12-second hug. And, like, count it out and just literally do it. And then you come back and you tell me.
Okay.
Like, there's actually science behind this. Like, when you hold another person for longer periods of time, it releases oxytocin in your brain. Similar to, like, when a woman has a baby, that connection to her baby, the brain releases oxytocin. So when you have these physical experiences with people, that actually goes off in your brain. So it's like, is it physical? Is it mental? Well, it's both, right? It's satisfying that physical need in the touch, but it's hitting these chemicals where your brain's saying, yes, this is what I need.
So essentially kind of what I was feeling when we were watching TV, just a variation of that. Or maybe the same thing.
Yeah, that's literally it. Your brain is producing this chemical that is sort of like, you can't say it's like what love is, but it gives you that sensation.
So how long did it take before it was a bit normalized for you? Because, dude, I'm telling you, I would have so much resistance towards that just because I love cults, obviously. I love researching cults. Yeah. And my deepest, no, I'm not going to say my deepest fear, but I could see myself, I think that I am the type of person who would get involved in a cult. And I think a lot of people are naive to how vulnerable they might be to getting in a cult. Mm-hmm. Because the cults do good. Like, there's obvious, like, no one would just join a cult if it was all bad.
Right.
Like, cults happen so slowly.
And real quick, like, I called my community I was involved in a cult because I think it's kind of funny, and you joke about it being a cult. Do I actually think it was a cult? No, it had cult-like characteristics, because any community will, because a cult is a community based around particular beliefs or philosophies. So just to get that out there.
Yeah, I'm just asking, like, your mindset of going into it being, like, wary of it being a cult.
Well, it took me a few days to get into it, and that's just how it goes. But when you enter a community like that and you open your heart, it takes time, but you have to open up your heart, right? And if you don't, it'll break you open in a way. Like, everyone who joins a cult, here's the thing. We are the people who join the cult. No, everyone who you think is other, like, oh, how could that person fall for that or join that? You are them. Like, you're not different. We all have these certain needs. And, like, for me, my experience was resistance. Like, this is strange. Wow, look at all this love. How is all this love possible between people who don't know each other that well? And then all of a sudden, day 3, day 4, it's like, okay, I see how this is happening. I can feel my heart opening up. I can feel that I feel more comfortable holding people or hugging people, or, and when, in my example, we were sleeping in this kind of like shelter with mosquito nets. And so we're all sleeping in the same space. We're all working in the same space. When we eat, we all eat in the same circle. So we're doing this our whole day together, and it breaks you down to your, like, baseline needs, and it creates this sensation of trust that I've never felt replicated in any other way, especially in the US, because we're also individualistic. Yeah. We take a ton of pride in being an individual, and that's important. I think that's cool. It leads to awesome stuff. Look at look at this. Pretty sweet. Look at, you know, the laptop I'm on. Like, so many innovations come from culture that, you know, promote people to be individuals. But
that's why it's so cool, like what you did, just seeing different lifestyles, because it's not to say one's better than the other, but how cool that you got to experience this lifestyle where people just drop, like, I don't know if dropping boundaries is what would they, like, drop their guard, I guess, and just live together in a way that's, I mean, I'm sure everyone goes in thinking this is a little cultish. So
yeah, everyone
being weird, like being aware of that, being cautious of that, but still, because like I said, like I could see myself getting involved in a cult the same way that you probably could, in the fact of like joining that project and everything is going well. Say it was going well for 8 months, and then stuff just slowly starts happening, and not everyone in a cult even knows what's going on, right?
Yeah.
Like there's lots of cults where it's only happening to a few people, and they're just using the whole dynamic of it for that to happen. So I don't know, dude. It would be really hard for me to let my guard down, I think, because I'm aware of how susceptible I would be to that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tricky because I don't know. I think if you could still go to the community I went to, I would recommend that you go, and it would blow your fucking mind.
Yeah.
You know, and I think you would be able to let go. I think a lot of the darkness you see in, like, for example, with Keith Raniere and NXIVM.
Mm-hmm. You watched that?
Yeah, I don't think I found the documentary to be very drawn out.
Me too, dude. I've been on episode 6 for like a week now.
Yeah. It's just like, I feel like the story could have been condensed into like a few hours, but
same.
It's just like, what's tough is sometimes these leaders, they do offer a lot of value to people. And so from that place, you know, there's the guru worship, and because, dude, if someone improves your life massively, naturally you have an affinity for them.
Yeah.
And so
an
then
attraction and
there's going to be this dynamic, and then it's like, well, at what point is it inappropriate? So yeah, it's a rabbit hole. I think cults are fascinating, but they're nothing but a reflection of the human psychology and the human need to have a community, right? Otherwise, like, we wouldn't fall into, like with NXIVM, like the women who were literally branded. Like, think about that, like the power of the community to convince these women that it's a good idea to be branded.
I know.
And it sounds so insane, but if you're in that, it makes perfect sense.
That's what's crazy to me. And they're normal people. They're smart people.
Yeah.
So I think people are so quick to jump into this, like, how could you ever fall into a cult? Like, because
how could you not is the better question.
I talk to people about cults all the time because I fucking love them. And everyone I talk to almost doesn't understand why I say that I could be sucked into one. And it blows my mind.
Well, they're simply not thinking.
Yeah, because I think anybody can. And especially if you're at a vulnerable time in your life, then you're like twice as vulnerable. If you
can't understand how someone can fall into the depth of a cult, or if you can't think back to any horrific act that any person has done in the course of human history, if you can't understand that could be you're just not being empathetic. You're not being empathetic. Like, and it's never a good course to bring up Nazi Germany, but just as an extreme example, do you think that all of those people who were part of the regime and worshiping Adolf Hitler, do you think that they were inherently evil people? No, of course not. They're just human beings, just like you. If you were them, you would have done the same thing. And so it's actually about empathy here, right? To assume that, oh, how could someone be so naive, or how could someone be so evil? That's cheap thinking. Like, it's just a label to distance yourself and to not see yourself in them. Like, can you not see part of yourself in them and part of them in you? Of course you can. But why go there? Why not just say, oh, they're so naive. Oh, that's so evil. You know, if you don't have any nuance about it, then it kind of frees you up to just kind of continue to live your life and not have to think about the challenges of being human.
Now, the part that is tough for me to understand, and I think I understand how it happens, but I haven't fully clicked it in my brain, is like the point where you are getting branded or you are doing these crazy things for the leaders. Like, you know, the higher ups in the cult, they'll start drugging the others if that's what's supposed to be done. Like, but I know to them it makes perfect sense in the time. But I guess I kind of do understand, because there's things I've done in the past, not to that extreme, but I can look back in my life now and be like, why the hell would I ever do that? Yeah. But in the time it seemed normal. So
yeah, I think it's a lot of factors. One is like the sunk cost. Or as humans, we value what we invest in. So if you've invested a ton of time and emotional energy into something, and you face a bit of cognitive dissonance where this doesn't make perfect sense, but if I've invested a ton of time into it, I value it, so I'll justify it. Like the same way you would do stupid shit in a relationship after 3 years that you wouldn't do during the first week. It's the same thing. It's the sunk cost. It's like, oh, well, I've put in all this time and effort into this person or to this group, into this community. So you learn to justify and deal with that in your brain. And it just distorts your perspective. You know, when your actions and your actions and your thoughts aren't in alignment, you have to find a way to make them aligned. And so in most cases, if it's involving something you've invested time and energy into, you'll find a way to make it okay in your brain.
Yeah.
You know, like you'll find a way to justify, well, you know, it's just how the brain works, dude. We want to make sense of reality. And you know what doesn't make sense? To be like, oh, I guess I just wasted 3 years of my life.
Yeah.
Like, that's hard to say. Like, that's way harder than to say, you know what? Maybe this branding will be good for me. Mm-hmm. You know,
and depending on how, like, we talked about it literally this week with the job that I had in Dallas, where it's like, it kind of like a silly job that I had. And it's like, I wanted to believe it so bad. Like, but if we look back at it now, it's like, this, like, how would that ever be a thing or ever work out? Or, but in the time, I believed it, dude. I had no choice but to believe it. And sometimes you catch someone at that point in their life where they just want to believe in something, or they're lost, or they're, you know, they're just at that point they need something. Yeah. And it doesn't mean they're stupid, or it doesn't mean they're
like that. That means that you just need to get through. Like, it's okay to just get through. Like, there's plenty of ways that I'm like, get through a challenging time. If you're in a challenging time and you have a glimmer of hope, well, that's fair. As long as the glimmer isn't a behavior that hurts other people. But yeah, man, I think we're all tired. We're all scared. We just want to be told it's okay. We just want to be told that, like, there's a way to get through life. Yeah. And sometimes that answer might be a shitty job that you convince yourself is great, or it might be a shitty partner who you think will change next year. You know, it might be, maybe this new career path, you know, I'll go back to school and then everything will be okay. It's like our joke about being happier then, you know, it's like you and I have this joke about kind of mocking that part of our brain that thinks we'll be happier later, or that we were happier in the past. Yeah. Because that's so natural. The brain wants us to, the brain is like an accomplishment engine, right? It needs us to focus to move forward and continue to get the resources we need. And so in order to get us to move forward and continue to get the resources we need, it tricks us into thinking that we'll be happier once the external changes.
Mm-hmm.
Once, I get the new job, or I start dating the right person, or, I have enough money, or I have the new watch I want. I want to buy a new car, buy a new house. Or even with travel, dude. Like, oh, dude,
That's
once
where
I
it
can
gets me.
once I can travel, then I'll be happy. And it's this trick because you can't be happy later. Tell me one time ever you've been happy later. You can't be happy later. You can only be happy now. Later happens now. There is no later. So it's a trick. And so when it's always now, the future arrives as now. And what you're saying is, with the I'll be happier then, is once the colors and the shapes and the sounds change in the now, then I'll be happy. It's like a contract to agree that once the colors and sensations change, I'll be happy. It doesn't make any sense. Because later will be now. And then in that now, what's going to be different? Are you going to have the car? So what? Now there's the shape of a car. Now you can drive the car. So what? So this visually things have changed. How insane is that? I'm going to be sad until the visual has changed.
Dude, and our joke actually helps me like clarify that shit too. Like, I'll legit start thinking if I get something, I'll be happier, and then I'll immediately make the joke, I'll be happier then. Or we're looking at photos of us on vacation or something.
I think it's funny to do it for the past too.
Yeah, like
to reminisce on the past and like for context for people, it's like me and Blazik sometimes, especially with that new iOS 14 feature where you can have the photos on your home screen. I don't know if you do that, but for me it shows like random photos from my gallery throughout the day, and I love that. It's kind of cool. But it does bring up memories, right? And so it's funny to look at an old memory, and I'll send it to Blazik, and it might be me, in Bali, or it might be me with one of my exes. It doesn't really matter, but it's sometime in the past, and I'll just say I was happier then. And it's this way to remind yourself that like that's an illusion, even if you do kind of feel that way, or even if you do cherish a certain memory. Any inclination that you'll be happier at a different point in time is an illusion.
Dude, not being happy is like the quickest way to feel unfulfilled. There's like that initial dopamine hit when whatever you think is going to make you happier then hits.
Yeah.
Like once I'm rolling into Colorado, it's like, oh, dopamine, yes. But once you're there like 3 days, it's like, okay, I'm ready to go home. Mm-hmm. Or I imagine, like anyone that knows me knows I'm anti buy a new car until you absolutely have to. But people that buy new cars, it's gotta be a 5-day hit of dopamine. And then that's just the car that you drive. The same way that the shitty Civic you drove was the car you drive. Mm-hmm. Now that's the brand new car that you drive. Like, it's got to be that way. And everything in life has to be that way.
It's the nature of the brain. And the cars in particular, the science is there. The psychology of happiness around cars don't work. They just don't work. Like you said, you get some excitement, you get a dopamine hit, but that goes away really quickly. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think it's natural to, because what you're saying is this moment is not satisfactory. That's what you're saying. When you think I'll be happier then, or I was happier then, what you're saying is this moment is not enough, right? So the next question I like to ask after that is, what in this moment is lacking? And actually answer it. Like, actually pay attention to the moment and see what is lacking. What you always find, nothing's lacking. Everything you need to be at ease and at peace is available to you in every moment. The reason that you feel unhappy is because you're lost in thoughts. lost in thoughts about getting the next thing, or thinking about that partner that you miss, or imagining the future partner that you hope to attain. These cloud from the fact that it's fine. Everything I need is available. Always. Why? Because it's always now. And if you pay enough attention, you realize everything we need is available. Now, could there be a time in your life where it is really unbearable to be a human? Yeah. You know, mental health issues, or if you're homeless on the street, and I tell you, well, ask yourself what in this moment is lacking. And you could say, well, Tyler, I'm homeless. Right. There are some physical needs that we have. But, you know, and it's hard to say this because I'm in a privileged position and I have all of my physical needs met. But you could say, even if you're homeless on the street, if you were to actually go into your body and say what in this moment is lacking, you would find that everything you need is available in that moment. Now, you might need to make a change in your life to make sure you have the shelter you need. But if you check in with yourself and ask what in this moment is lacking, there's nothing external that you need to go get in that moment. It's all okay in that moment.
Yeah, dude.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. Me and Garrett were kind of talking about this because we went into the park with Rocky this morning, and we were just talking about how much our lives have changed because Garrett's been mobile around the U.S., kind of like I have the past few years. And then we both came back to Kansas City, and we were just talking about like how happy we were just being at the park, just like tossing the football, and Rocky's running around chasing the football. And it seems like such a simple moment, but we were talking about how much more fulfilling that is than anything in the past that we'd been trying to do, like chase these crazy goals and like live these crazy experiences and experience new things and I mean, Garrett flies through hurricanes for a living. That's his job. And he's saying like the most fulfilling thing is like tossing the football on a Sunday morning while we're just chatting. And that is like, that whole mindset is basically how I've, like what Kansas City is to me, essentially. It's not these highs and lows of like all this crazy shit and new adventures and new people, but it's just like being present and comfortable and here. Like Kansas City is where I feel present. And I hadn't felt present in years, dude, because I was empty inside. So I was trying to find out what was going to fulfill me. And now that I'm back, I just know it's just, I need that baseline. I don't need that up and down and up and down. And being here just gave me that baseline. And the moments like that are all I want. The small moments.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a keen insight, man. Like when we're experiencing discontent, when we're experiencing a craving for a different reality, or let's just say like, let's say you're back in Dallas and you're thinking about a moment where you would be happy if it was happening, you know?
I'd be happier
you would be happier then. But what we're seeking, we're not seeking these euphoric experiences. What we're seeking is freedom from our inner voice. We want to be free from our mind. Like when you're at the park with Rocky and with Garrett, the reason you're at ease is because you're not lost in thought. That's what's happening. You're resting your mind.
It's like flow state.
Yeah, it's a flow state. It's not. It's like the idea of peace of mind. What we really want is peace from our mind. Our mind is what gets in the way of our peace. Mm-hmm. So when you're at the park and you're playing, what you're getting is peace from your mind. Your mind is quiet. You're focused on the fresh air, the experience of watching Rocky run, your friendship with Garrett. You're not thinking about, oh, if I had a different experience right now, then I would be pleased. No, what's happening in your mind? Not much. Not much is happening. Because that's where the real peace comes from. That's where the happiness comes from.
Mm-hmm. Where do you get that from, man? Because, like, obviously I get it from being outdoors, and that's why I love Colorado so much.
Yeah.
Just experiencing that calm and anything outside. But what do you get it from?
Well, what's nice about this, like, peace from mind, is that it's not conditional. You can always access it. And so for me, like, my meditation practice is how I access that. But once you know how to access it, you can access it at will. Unless the mind is extremely anxious, sometimes it might be tougher. But there are ways that I kind of get to that state. Like for you, it's nature. For me, it might be grabbing my guitar and singing. Like, that shifts me to the moment. Mm-hmm. It might be listening to a particular type of music. For me, talking to one person really does it. Mm-hmm. Like, when I went on my date on Friday, part of the joy of that is just to be present with someone.
Yeah, not worried about your phone.
It's such a gift. It's such a gift. And it's like a gift to them, and they're giving me a gift to you. It's almost like it doesn't matter the outcome of any experience like that. What matters is that you're both there and you're engaged and you're giving each other this gift.
Dude, a first or second date is kind of like a podcast where it's a rare attention that you give somebody that you're not used to getting from somebody.
Yeah.
Because everyone's on their phone or whatever while chatting with you. But there's certain situations where that's not appropriate. Podcast being one, date being one. So those are rare moments when you actually get to sit down and connect with someone on a crazy level that you're not, like, that I'm not used to.
Yeah. I think, that's part of the beauty of dating as an adult, is you get to have all these. If you want them to be meaningful, they can all be meaningful. And you get to sit down, and how magical is that, dude? Like, I'm in this kind of like dimly lit cocktail lounge. This pretty person who I met through the internet shows up, and I hug her, and we sit down and we talk about who we are and what we want to get out of life. And that is a reason enough to live, in my opinion. Like, that is so amazing that we can even do that. What's a better reason to be human than that? Like, that's one thing that's unique to us as humans. We can communicate with language. We can connect. We can have these, what I would call, a spiritual experience. Mm-hmm. Not everyone would say that that's a spiritual experience, but for me it is. And
you remember how nervous I used to be to go on dates? That's like, that was very unpresent of me.
Yeah, you're thinking.
Because, and every time I got to the date, I never was nervous when I got there. So, but what I'm getting at is I'm really starting to let go of that, and I don't really think about it at all anymore. Mm-hmm. And it makes the experience amazing, dude, because it is fun. Like, just experiencing a new person is cool. It's fun. And you might not always like them. Yeah. But you're still learning and experiencing, and even if you don't like someone on a level of wanting to see them again, you're still going to enjoy some part of the conversation normally, unless they're just a total wacko. But
yeah,
it's cool. I like it now, dude. Like, I really do.
The thing is, connection, what you're enjoying the connection, but you're enjoying being present. You're enjoying not, like, because I used to be very anxious about dates too, especially when my mental health wasn't so great. But what we're doing is we're trying to control. Mm-hmm. We're trying to plan and create an expectation, and that doesn't work, and it's not fair to the other person. So for me, I personally, like, literally will meditate before I go and meet someone. Why? Because I just want to be the space where things arise. I trust that my true self will be revealed throughout this experience. What's my goal? To just be present with this person. And people feel that. If you don't, And I'm sure you're seeing this now as you've grown more present with these new people, the impact that can have on them too, right?
One thing that has stood out to me, the more comfortable I become on these dates, is how people don't want to let silence happen. Has that stood out to you at all?
It depends. I haven't noticed that too much. Not that I can think of. Like, do
Really?
you have an example of what, like, so you mean you maybe
Yeah.
leave the silence and then they want to fill the space? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like we're discussing something and then it kind of dies down a bit, and instead of just like I'll just catch myself like starting to look around the restaurant, and just like if me and you were in a restaurant and the conversation died, and then they just like they'll be like, like trying to fill it but not really knowing what to say.
Yeah, in that case, the way I experience that is, let's assume you're not lost in thought. You are being present, and then the certain conversational thread kind of gets tied up. And then you glance throughout the room, and you're still being present. But if they're not, they might be thinking that you're thinking.
Right.
And so they want to, that can sometimes come off as rude. If someone thinks that you're thinking or thinks that you're distracted, that can come off as rude. So it's delicate, right? Because there's always some type of mind reading going on. And I think during the silence is where the mind reading gets really intense.
Yeah, for sure.
For at least one person, where, especially on that first date, where you want them to be comfortable and you want to stay engaged and empathetic, but at the same time, you don't want to overdo it with filling the space. Because I've definitely had experiences where the person I'm with will be like, and I'm sure you've gotten this, where it's just like, I like how we can just sit here.
Yeah.
And there's a relief in that.
Yeah.
That you don't have to constantly be trying to impress one another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that was just like the biggest insight I've really taken away from being present on dates. Is just not being in my head thinking, okay, I can tell that this conversation is dying. Like, what am I going to bring up next? I don't have those thoughts really anymore.
Yeah.
It's just like,
Well,
okay.
it's because it's a level of self-confidence and of trust. It's similar to what we're doing now. I have no idea how I'm going to get to the end of this sentence. I don't know what the next sentence is going to be until the moment it comes out of my mouth. And it's that same experience when you're on a date, where you just need to trust that your conversational skills, your philosophies, it'll all just arise naturally. It gets weird when you want to control it.
Yeah.
It gets weird when you're in interview mode, where it's like it gets quiet and you're like, tell me about a time.
Yeah, tell me about
It's
a
like,
time.
you know what I mean? So as long as you're being present, usually the person you're with will, the way I think about it is like the person feels what you feel,
Yeah.
and vice versa.
And I don't even think it's bad. I'm not saying that. I hope it didn't come off as I'm saying like they don't know what they're doing or they're not present. I'm just saying it's something that I know I used to do in the past, but I don't do it anymore, and I sometimes see it now when someone else might be doing it, and I'm sure I still do it at times.
Fill
I
the
just-
silence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I don't
it's
know.
just
It's
something
natural.
that I've become. I was just aware of it when it happened.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, I don't know, meditation's helped me with that, and just
Dude, I've
getting
been
older has
really
helped me
bad
with
about
that.
meditating lately.
Dude, everybody's bad at meditating and bad
No,
at
I said I've
doing
been
it.
bad about doing it. Sorry.
No, but even that too. Like me
Uh-oh.
too, you know.
Which is, I needed it so bad last week, dude. And when you need it the most, that's when it's the hardest to do for me.
Yeah.
I couldn't, like, my brain last week was everywhere, dude. And I tried one time meditating, and have you ever had experiences meditating where it's just like like almost unbearable hard the first minute or two, where it's like, I do not want to do this. Like I can't even return to the breath with that for like a second without another thought drifting off in another way.
Mm-hmm.
It's so hard, but I know that's when I need it the most, but it's just unbearable.
Yeah, it's like if you can't find time for 20 minutes of meditation, you need to find time for 2 hours of meditation. Like that's usually how it goes. Like when you can't do it is when you should be doing it.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. Like meditation, you don't want it to become this thing that you dread doing, and it's a practice, but you shouldn't beat yourself up over it either. Like that's where I've gotten to the point where I may not do it like I used to, but that's okay.
The reason I beat myself up though is because I know that it would help me. It's almost like beating myself up for not going to the gym if I'm stressed out. Mm-hmm. It's like, I know these things can help me. Yeah. But there's something weird going on in my head where even though I know it's going to help me, I don't want to do it. That resistance.
Yeah. And I feel you on that. Like the past week, my mind has been pretty busy as well. But imagine this. Imagine if every time throughout the day when you got lost in thought and then you have the thought, damn, I should start meditating again. What if for 10 seconds you meditated? Even that helps. Like, this is just an example. So, like, even right now I'm feeling present because I'm connecting with you, right? I'm sure you feel that. You're in the flow state. But, like, even for the listener right now, if I told you for the next 10 seconds to not have a thought, half a second, you just had a thought. Like you just thought,
can't do it.
Tyler, why are you asking me to do this? You know, you labeled it, you did something like that. If I said, okay, for the next 10 seconds, focus on the sensation right beneath your nose when you breathe. Does it feel cool on the in-breath? Do you feel like the hairs of your mustache may be moving? Now, can you do that for 10 seconds? Maybe. You know what? Maybe you can do that. So even if throughout the day you just take 10 seconds to like focus on the sensation beneath your nose, that is presence. Like that's getting you out of your thought patterns, right? So it might be less for you right now about sitting down every morning and doing it, and more about throughout your day just going,
yeah,
you know. And that's kind of where I'm at now, where I kind of just throughout my day try to do these tiny things that can shift my attention.
Yeah, and maybe I'll try that this week because I can't have my weeks be like last week. Not that it was like unbearable or bad or anything, but it just was not good productivity wise, you know? Like if I'm going to perform my best, I can't be feeling that way. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I need to be better about checking myself in the mornings too, because I do have 10 minutes to meditate in the morning. Like I would be lying to you if I said I did not have,
you know,
10 minutes to do that. Dude.
Sorry, I lost my monitor.
It plugs into the mic.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So that's nice. Recording on GarageBand and through Zoom?
Yeah.
That's trippy.
Yeah.
Well, shit, man, dude, let's wrap it up. We're at an hour, man.
Dude, what's crazy is how many people have been reaching out,
dude,
and asking me about this podcast. You know,
mostly beautiful women, not even women in the United States.
I'll be honest. I've noticed a lot of Eastern European women reaching out.
I've noticed lots of Latino women, lots of
yeah,
lots of.
I don't know. I think there's something about. I've had a couple Ukrainians, you know, and Russians, and they
like it.
They know what they like. They're very particular about their preferences, and when they like something, they tell you.
There's this girl.
They've reached out.
This girl from Switzerland reached out, and she was like, Blazik.
I relate to that. So I was going through my DMs and I realized I forgot to respond to this woman from Croatia, and she actually reached out and she asked me. She said,
"What did she say?"
I don't know, man. I have to go through my DMs. It's too far down.
Yeah, I was gonna pull some DMs, but I have I think I got 87 DMs in my.
Dude, maybe next time we should have people ask questions.
Dude, that might be a little overwhelming though.
We might get too many, but we could pick out the top couple.
Or maybe we could have Joe pick them out for us because we'll probably be busy.
Yeah, Joe probably has free time to do that for us.
Exactly.
Yeah, man. What did you think about the pod? We're going back to back now. We did 2 weeks in a row.
Dude, this one was fun. Anytime I can talk Colts, I like the whole, I normally only bring 2 or 3 bullet points, but I like going totally freestyle, dude.
Yeah.
Talked about cow milk, breast milk, Colts. Dude, maybe that can be the title. Cow milk, breast milk, and Colts.
I mean, I would click that.
That clickbait hitter.
Yeah, and we always end up talking about the nature of the mind and even dating a little bit too. I think that's cool. It's just something that we think a lot about and are working on personally.
Do you think that the people are gonna reach out?
Dude, I'm excited to get feedback on this one. Granted, I just don't have the time to read all of the feedback.
Yeah, that's what I was running into as well.
I should but you did put up that poll. You had about 25% of people who don't want me on here weekly.
29%.
Oh, dude, that's 30%.
Yeah. So
30%.
10 votes for no. Do you want me to read them out loud right now?
Those people are people who think I talk too much. But the truth is, they're jealous, dude, because they wish they were on the pod.
Dude, a lot of people have been reaching out asking if they can be on the pod. Most of them with very average lives.
Damn, dude. Hit them. Dude, maybe... I don't know.
Bro, any fan that we gain during this podcast, we're losing it right now.
Yeah, dude, but if anyone watches this, it's because they get something out of listening to us bullshit. And here's the thing, it's not... We can either lie about people reaching out, or we can tell the truth. And I'd rather just tell people the truth, that people reach out and they ask.
Dude, that's true. Croatia, Switzerland, Eastern European. I mean, I would name them all, but how long do we have, really?
I mean, let's just say once COVID is, a non-issue, we're going to do a little world tour.
Oh, yeah.
Like our mark.
I have had agents reaching out as well, wanting to buy the podcast. But anytime that they're trying to buy the podcast, then you should hold.
Yeah, and what I like about what you've chosen to do is, even with all the advertisers who are reaching out and asking to start, sponsoring.
Yep.
You keep it free. You keep it, cool with no ads, and it's kind of like. Have you seen The Social Network?
Yes, and that's you nailed it. That's 100%.
How Eduardo is like, Mark, we need to put ads on here, and Mark's like, Eduardo, one thing we know about Facebook is it's cool, and if we put ads on here, it's not going to be cool. That's kind of like what you're doing. You're seeing the big picture that this podcast is $1 billion valuation, not a $50 a month valuation.
No,
and that's why a lot of people reach out to you and ask you for advice on how to build a podcast.
Yeah, it's costing me hundreds of $1,000s right now to not take on these advertisements, but in my opinion, if I can wait it out, hold it out for another year or so, those 100,000s could be millions.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to think the scale that this impact could be. Now, a lot of people are impressed by Rogan's valuation around 100 million, supposedly, probably more. But I think over the next 3 to 5, you're going to overshadow that massively. I mean, if you think about the fact that Spotify has kind of proven that the podcast can have these 8-figure values, 9-figure values. Just wait until, Apple reaches out to you, alongside Spotify reaches out to you, and they ask you.
Here's the thing, Tyler. If you go back on YouTube and you search episode 25, the Joe Rogan Experience, and you watch that episode, and you tell me with a straight face that it's better than my episode 25, I'll give you $100.
100 cash?
And here's the thing, Tyler. I am way ahead of Joe Rogan when he was on episode 26. I'll tell you that right now.
Dude, you're ahead of most professional podcasters.
I'd say.
I mean, we're doing a remote podcast,
And it sounds...
and it's better than 95% of podcasts that are generating $100,000 a year.
Big facts.
Anyways, man, it's been fun. We'll have to do it again, don't you think? What do you think?
I think we'll let the people decide, man.
Maybe we should start a poll again.
I'll start a poll. Hey, man,
yeah,
you gonna sync this and send it over?
Yeah, I need to do some work too. Yeah, I'll sync it up. It's gonna be fun to see where I end up being, where I change my background to.
Oh, I know. I can't change mine but yeah.
You got a nice background though, with the trees.
Yeah, I'm excited actually.
All right, bro. I guess we call it here. Is this where we end it?
All right, man.
Later, guys.
Goodbye and good morning.
Bye. Good morning.